What's up, all my movie loving maniacs? It's your boy Bankful B of the Lassiter Factor, and today I'm going to talk about Kraven the Hunter, which was released in theaters over the weekend, and I went to go see it, so let's review. So, Kraven the Hunter is the latest, and as of right now, the last of the Spider Man villains that is getting its own spin off film, and it's basically tells the origin story about how Kraven basically got bit by a lion and mixed in with some viral potion or whatever the fuck that was. Anyways, Kraven as a child gets a whiff of it and he gets super abilities and enhanced abilities. Goes away for several years and he becomes one of the greatest hunters in the world. And when he is reunited with his family, his brother gets kidnapped and now he is out on the run to go look for him. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know I have not been too kind to these Sony Spider-Verse movies. I thought Venom, the Venom movies, Venom Let There Be Carnage, and Venom The Last Dance, I just don't care for those movies. Well, I do like Let There Be Carnage and The Last Dance, but otherwise, I just never wasted potential. And Morbius, less said the better. And Madam Web, which came out earlier this year, again, less said the better. But when Kraven the Hunter was getting ready to come out and the first trailer dropped, well, it's really the second trailer that hooked me, and I saw how violent it looked and it got an R rating. I'm like, okay, maybe this one may turn the tide. And that's up to you to decide whether or not it did, but as of the news that we got recently about this universe of Spider Man characters, I think we all know the answer. And while I do put Spider Man's Rogues Gallery in the same level as Batman's Rogues Gallery, I will say Kraven the Hunter, he is one of the Spider Man villains that I'm the least familiar with. I know of the character, but I've never been too deep into his lore. Now, how do I feel about this movie? Well, it just might be my favorite, but even still, that's not a tall bar to pass. But at the same time, I do think this takes itself a little bit more seriously than the Venom movies, and it's way better than Morbius and Madam Web combined. Now, that doesn't mean I think it's a perfect movie. This definitely isn't a perfect movie, but let me tell you some of the things I thought were good about this movie. Like Aaron Taylor Johnson, I thought he was actually good in this role, and he was definitely charismatic, he was likable, and given the fact that he is in talks to be the next James Bond, I am 100% for him. He has all the right charisma and smoothness he needs to play James Bond. And after seeing him in this movie and even Bullet Train, which came out 2 years ago, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, let's see. I want him for James Bond. I do like how this movie explores the family trauma because he and his brother has daddy issues. His father wants him to be one way, but he ends up being another, and then there's this whole thing about being tough. And this movie is definitely violent. Like there are kills and cuts and blood, you name it. This movie is definitely violent in just the right ways, and it just makes me mad because it's like, why couldn't the Venom movies be like this? This is what they should have been in the first place. And now that it is rated R, it's just like, I mean, it's too little too late. And that is a good segue into my negatives, because as good as at least I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson was in the movie, everybody else in this movie just was not good. Like, this movie made actors that I know are good look bad. Like Russell Crowe, the accent he was doing, I don't know what the fuck he was doing with that. And Ariana DeBose, who's in this film, she's an Oscar winning actress, as well as Russell Crowe. How you take two Oscar nominated actors and make them look bad in this movie? The ADR in this movie, piss poor, just as bad, if not worse, than Madam Web. No, I take that back. Madam Web is still the worst. I'm sorry. I just will not give Madam Web and Morbius any type of satisfaction. This movie is still better than those two movies to me, but at the same time, it still has some of the same flaws that those two movies had. Like Sony, did you learn nothing? The Rhino is in this movie, and I'll admit he how they handled the Rhino in this movie is a lot better than they did in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. But and I'll even say for the actor that plays him, hey, he understood the assignment. He knew what movie he was making, so credit goes to him. There's two more villains in this movie. I'm not gonna spoil who they are, but one of them you're like, why is he even here? And the other one is connected to Kraven. And if you know Spider-Man lore, you know who I'm talking about. I'm not gonna spoil it, but when it did happen for a brief moment at the end of the movie, I'm like, oh, ooh. Too bad we're probably not going to see that come to fruition, at least not anytime soon. I've heard a lot of complaints about the CGI animals in this movie, and I'm just like, I mean, it's Sony. What do you expect? And at this point, what movie isn't going to CGI animals in this movie? But it doesn't make the movie any better. Look, like I said, I do like this movie just for the simple fact that it takes itself more seriously than the Venom movies does, and it doesn't embarrass itself like Madam Web and Morbius, in my opinion. And as far as my thoughts on this being the official end to these Spider-Man-less Spider-Man movies, I mean, all I gotta say is good riddance. That's all I really gotta say. These movies never really did anything for me. I'm gonna give Kraven the Hunter the shoulder shrug emoji, and that's me being nice. And in case you're wondering, how do I rank Kraven with the rest of these Spider-Man list spin-off movies? Here you go. There you go. Kraven the Hunter, number one. I just like this movie just a little bit more better than everything else. And in case you're wondering, yes, I think Morbius is the worst, even worse than Madam Web, because despite the fact that Madam Web was just horrible on so many levels, not only did I think Morbius was horrible on so many levels, but I just left that movie more disappointed than I did Madam Web because I felt like there was so much potential with Morbius and they wasted it. Basically, I just feel like any potential they have for this universe, they threw it all away with Morbius and they just happened to incinerate the rest with Madam Web. But that's my review of Kraven the Hunter. Did you see it? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Let me know what you think about this movie and let me know what do you think about this being the end for now for these Spider-Man list movies. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. This your boy Thankful B of the Lassiter Factor. Stay safe, wash your hands, peace.